You know that voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough? The one that replays your most embarrassing moments at 3 a.m.? The one that whispers, they're all judging you when you walk into a room? Well, there's a villain in K-pop Demon Hunters who is that voice. And when I show you what he really represents, you're going to realize you've been fighting him your whole life. Okay, you guys, we need to talk about Gimma from K-pop Demon Hunters, because everyone's got him completely wrong. Everyone sees this all-powerful demon king who controls others through shame and fear, the big bad, the final boss, the pure evil that must be defeated. But something felt wrong about him from the beginning. Not scary wrong, but sad wrong. Like when you meet someone who's really angry, but you can tell they're actually just hurt. And I couldn't figure out why until I started digging deeper. What if I told you he's actually the most broken character in the entire film? That every single line he speaks is a confession of his own eternal torment. And the visual evidence has been screaming this at us the whole time. Today, we're exposing the truth about Gimma. And I'm warning you now, once you see what he really represents, you're never going to look at your own inner critic the same way again.
So let's start with what everyone thinks they know about Gimma. He's the Demon King, voiced by Lee Byung-hun, the front man from Squid Game, who wants to break through the Hanmun barrier and consume human souls. He controls the Saja boys, makes deals for people's souls, and whispers shame into people's minds until they break. Classic villain stuff, right? Except something's off. First, look at his form. He's not some massive demon with horns and wings. He's purple fire that can barely hold itself together. Just a giant mouth of flames. No solid body, no real face at first. Just hunger. And that purple, you guys, it's the exact same shade of Rumi's shame patterns, the exact same color. They're literally painted with the same emotion. But while Rumi's patterns are on her body, showing her shame, Gimma doesn't have a body underneath. He is the purple. He is the shame. But what really got me thinking, why does a demon king who could have any power choose shame as his only weapon? Why not fear? Why not rage? Why specifically the feeling of not being enough? Let's talk about how Gimma actually operates, because this is where it gets uncomfortably personal. Listen to what he whispers to his victims. You think you can fix the world? You can't even fix yourself. They'll never accept the real you. You don't deserve a family. I had to pause the movie when I heard these lines because, guys, these aren't villain threats. These are the exact thoughts that play in my head when I'm at my lowest. Word for word, these are what my anxiety sounds like at 3 a.m. And something devastating clicked when I learned that in Korean, gui can mean ghost, but it also means ear. He's literally the demon of the ear, the voice that whispers directly into your mind, not a demon who speaks to you, but the voice that speaks as you. The visual storytelling started breaking my heart when I really paid attention. Beginning of the movie, Gimma is loose, chaotic purple fire, no eyes, no face, just a mouth. Middle of the movie, as he consumes more souls, he starts developing features. End of the movie, he's this massive entity with actual facial features. Everyone thinks this shows him getting stronger, but watch those scenes again knowing what I'm about to tell you. He's not gaining power. He's desperately trying to remember what it's like to be someone. He only develops human features when he consumes human souls. He's literally trying to build an identity from pieces of other people because he doesn't have one of his own anymore. And as he gains features, look closer. He's not just forming a face, he's trying to build the perfect idol face he never had. But it's all wrong. Like those AI-generated K-pop idols that look almost right, but deeply unsettling. He's Uncanny Valley personified, a grotesque parody of the beauty standards that destroyed him. That giant mouth, that's not aggression. That's the visualization of emptiness that can never be filled. You know that feeling when you scroll social media for hours, comparing yourself to everyone, feeling worse and worse but unable to stop? That's what Gimma is. He's that endless hunger for something you can't even name because you've forgotten what it feels like to be whole.
I was rewatching the scene where Gimma threatens Jinnu, and something in his voice broke me. He says, "You can't escape what you are, what you did." But guys, he's not talking to Jinnu. Listen to every line Gimma says and try replacing you with I. You can't even fix yourself becomes I can't even fix myself. You don't deserve a family becomes I don't deserve a family. Your voices cannot defeat me becomes my voice cannot defeat me. He's been talking to himself this whole time, for centuries. And that line everyone quotes as proof of his evil, "You gave me your heart, now I'm here for your soul," that's literally what shame does. It starts with one small insecurity you feed with attention, and it grows until it consumes your entire identity. Which brings me to something the directors revealed that changes absolutely everything about this character. Okay, you guys, I need you to sit down for this next part because what I discovered about Gimma's origins completely shattered how I see this character. The directors revealed in an interview with Cosmopolitan Korea that a concept for Gimma was a wannabe idol. I'm not joking. Director Maggie Kang said, and I quote, "When we first started casting, we had an idea of Gimma being a wannabe idol himself. So we thought of JY Park." This isn't just a fun fact. This changes everything, everything. Every soul he consumes, he's trying to taste the fame he never got. The Saja Boys, they're the boy band he never got to be. His war against Huntrix, it's not about demons versus humans. It's about someone who failed, watching others succeed where he couldn't. He's not just using shame as a weapon, he is shame. He's what happens when the dream of being loved by millions turns into the nightmare of believing you're unlovable. Once you know this origin story, evidence appears everywhere you look. There's this scene that everyone thinks is funny, but actually made me want to cry. Gimma is caught humming Soda Pop, the Saja Boys' hit song. And you guys, he's off-key. He can't even sing properly. This ancient demon king is sitting alone in his realm, trying to sing a pop song he created. But he can't make it sound beautiful. He can only corrupt, never create. That off-key humming, that's him trying to participate in something joyful, but only knowing how to destroy it. And consider what that means. He creates the Saja Boys as this perfect K-pop group, but he himself can't perform. He's the ultimate wannabe, desperate for the spotlight, for adoration, for fans. But he can only inspire fear, never love. And there's something else. His name, Gimma. I discovered it's Magwi. Magwi means devil in Korean, or Satan as we say here. Everything about him is backwards, inverted. He promises freedom but delivers enslavement. He offers fame but brings isolation. Even his name is him being the opposite of what he should be. The strongest evidence that Gimma is a victim comes from looking at Jinnu. Jinnu is literally what Gimma could have been. Both wanted fame, both made deals for it, both were consumed by shame over what they sacrificed. But Jinnu had one thing Gimma never got. Someone who saw him as more than his worst moment.
When Rumi connects with Jinu, she doesn't fix him. She doesn't forgive his past. She just sees him. And that's enough to break 400 years of control. Watch Gimma's reaction when Jinu starts breaking free. Everyone says it's anger, but look closer. It's panic. Pure panic. Because if Jinu can remember who he was before shame took over, it means Gimma could too. And that's the one thing he can't face, the person he destroyed to become what he is. And now imagine Gimma, who's been alone with his shame for centuries longer, with no one to ever see him as anything but a monster. And it's not just Jinu. Each Saja boy is a different flavor of industry shame. Abs was body shamed for not having the perfect physique. Mystery's voice cracked during his big moment. Romance was forced to deny his girlfriend publicly. Baby cracked under the pressure of being the youngest. They're not minions. They're every type of shame the industry creates, and Gimma collected them all like trophies of others who failed like him.
In Korean mythology, there's a concept that explains exactly what Gimma is, and it's heartbreaking. There are beings called Guishin, spirits who can't move on because of unresolved trauma, and they're driven by Han, that deep generational grief and resentment I've talked about before. But Gimma isn't just carrying Han, he is Han that gained consciousness. The film shows us that demons aren't born evil, they're made. Jinu was human. The Saja boys were human. They became demons through shame and trauma. So what trauma was so massive that it turned someone into pure, weaponized shame itself? A wannabe idol who failed in the most public, humiliating way possible. In Korean entertainment, failure isn't private. It's public. It's brutal. It's broadcast. Imagine training for years, sacrificing everything, believing you deserve love and admiration, and then being told you're not enough. Not just once, but over and over again until that voice becomes the only thing you can hear. That's Gimma's origin. He's not the demon king. He's the failed dreamer whose shame grew so massive that it consumed everything else about him until shame was all that was left. I noticed this devastating pattern that runs through the entire movie. When Gimma gains physical form, when he finally manifests features and becomes real, that's when he becomes vulnerable. That's when Rumi can actually hit him with a sword. He craves having a body, having an identity, being someone again. But the moment he achieves it, it defeats him. It's the ultimate self-destructive cycle. The thing he wants most is the thing that destroys him. Because shame can't actually become a person again. Once you've been hollowed out that completely, once shame has replaced everything else about you, there's no going back. You can consume 1,000 souls, but you'll never find your own again. It's literally like Inside Out, but imagine if shame took over headquarters and locked out joy, sadness, and every other emotion. That's Gimma's realm, a mind where only shame is at the controls. And you guys, that's what depression actually feels like. When one emotion becomes so dominant that it suppresses everything else. When the girls sing their acceptance anthem, they're not destroying him with magic. They're showing him what he can never have, the ability to accept imperfection. Because to accept yourself, you need to have a self. And Gimma doesn't, not anymore. In Korean shamanism, real power comes from connection. The mudang, the shamans, bring people together to create harmony. That's what Huntrix does. Their concerts are rituals that connect souls. But Gimma, he's the complete opposite. He connects to souls only to isolate them, to make them feel alone with their shame. He doesn't create, he consumes. He doesn't unite, he divides. The Saja Boys' final concert isn't a celebration. It's a harvest. It's Gimma trying to feel what connection is like by stealing it from others. But you can't cure loneliness by making others lonely. You can't fill emptiness with more emptiness.
Every soul he takes makes him hungrier because he's not trying to gain power. He's trying to remember what it felt like to be human, to be loved, to matter. But that's not how it works. And deep down, he knows it. That's why his final words, "Your voices cannot defeat me," sound so desperate, because he knows they can. Shame always knows it's lying. This brings me to something that actually made me angry at this movie, and it proves my whole theory. They spend the entire film saying, accept your demons, embrace your shame, don't hide your patterns. Rumi's whole journey is about accepting her demon side. They defeat shame by singing about self-acceptance. Then what do they do to Gimmma? They seal him away, forever. The one character who needed acceptance the most, who was literally made of shame, gets banished. No redemption, no healing, just gone. Fans have pointed this out all over Reddit. The movie fails its own message, or I'd rather as it complicates it by showing compassion to every demon except the one who needs it most. Even Jinnu gets redemption through sacrifice, but Gimmma? He's too shameful even for a movie about accepting shame. And maybe that's the point. Maybe Gimmma represents the shame that's too big, too scary for us to face. The shame we'd rather lock away than heal. The part of ourselves we can't forgive. You want to know why this movie hits so hard? Because we're all fighting our own Gimmma every single day. That voice that says you're behind in life while scrolling Instagram. That feeling that everyone else has it figured out except you. That fear that if people knew the real you, they'd leave. That 3 a.m. spiral where you replay every embarrassing moment. These are all Gimmma. He represents every version of that critical inner voice. Not some external demon, but the internal war we're all fighting. And the scariest part? The movie shows us exactly how someone becomes a Gimmma. You start as a person with dreams, you face rejection, you internalize shame, you isolate yourself, you start believing the voice that says you're not enough, and slowly, piece by piece, that voice replaces everything else about you until it's all you are. The saddest part? Even Gimmma can't face his original shame. It's locked away so deep, like a core memory he can't access, that he's forgotten who he was before the failure. He spreads shame because he literally doesn't remember being anything else. Jinnu almost became another Gimmma, 400 years of shame and isolation, but he met Rumi. He found connection. He broke free. Gimmma never found his Rumi. He never found someone to tell him that his worst moment didn't define him. He never found his way back. My theory that changes everything is that Gimmma isn't the villain of K-pop Demon Hunters. He's the victim, the first victim, the one who fell so completely to shame that he became it. Every soul he consumes is him trying to remember what it felt like to be whole. Every whisper of doubt is him sharing the only truth he knows anymore. Every moment of the film is him trying to make others into what he is so he won't be alone in his emptiness. He's not evil, he's empty, and that's so much worse. The wannabe idol who never made it, the dreamer whose shame ate him alive, the person who listened to "you're not good enough" so many times that it became his only voice. He's the warning. He's what waits at the end of the path if you let shame win. The next time you watch K-pop Demon Hunters, don't watch it as a hero's journey. Watch it as a tragedy. The tragedy of someone who wanted to be loved so badly that when he couldn't get it, he became the voice that tells everyone else they don't deserve it either. And this is what makes this movie genius, even in its failures. By showing us shame's final form, it also shows us how to fight it. Not alone, but together. Not with perfection, but with acceptance. Not by hiding our flaws, but by singing them out loud. Because shame can only control you when you're alone with it. The moment you share it, the moment you say, "This is what I'm struggling with," the moment you let others see your purple patterns, purple fire turns into rainbow light. The hungry ghost finally stops feeding, and you realize the demon you've been fighting was never as powerful as the voices that choose to harmonize with yours, broken notes and all. So what do you think? Does this change how you see Gimma? More importantly, does this change how you see that voice in your own head? Because remember, every character in this movie found their way out of shame the same way, through connection, through being seen, through someone saying your worst moment doesn't define you. Gimma never got that, and maybe that's the real horror of this story. Not that he's evil, but that he's what happens when shame wins, when isolation becomes complete, when the voice in your head becomes the only voice you have. The real demon in this movie isn't Gimma. It's the system that created him, the industry that says you're only worth something if you're perfect, the culture that teaches us to hide our flaws instead of healing them. Let me know in the comments if this changes how you see the movie, because honestly, I can't watch it the same way anymore. Every time Gimma appears, I don't see a villain, I see someone who needed help and never got it. And if you're fighting your own Gimma right now, just remember, his greatest lie is telling you that you're alone in this. You're not. We're all part of the same imperfect harmony. And the moment you share this video with someone who needs to hear it, the moment you reach out instead of isolating, the moment you choose connection over shame, Gimma loses, and you start to heal.